What do we do when we're scattered? I'm Amy Pasto from the Lakes, and at the Lakes we read a chapter a day, and then we do some good news reflections that reflect on those chapters. So today we're on Acts chapter 8, and in Acts chapter 7, one of the greatest early catastrophes of the church has just happened. And the first martyr, Stephen, a great man of faith, was called before the Sanhedrin, and he testified this beautiful testimony. And they were so angered by it that they took him outside the city and stoned him. And that's where we picked up, where we pick up in chapter 8. It says, "On that day, a great persecution broke out against the church at Jerusalem, and all except the apostles were scattered throughout Judea and Samaria. Godly men buried Stephen and mourned deeply for him. But Saul began to destroy the church, going from house to house. He dragged off men and women and put them in prison." In verse 4 it says, "Those who had been scattered preached the word wherever they went." I don't know about you, but I haven't been seeing all of my friends lately. I do feel like right now the church is in a bit of a scattering. Certainly not a great persecution like what we're looking at here in Acts chapter 8, but we haven't been able to gather like we would really love to do. And we're missing parts of our church family. And my question for us today is, so what do we do in the midst of that scattering? How do we go about our business in a way that pleases God? Well, if we take our cue from the earliest believers, it says they went, and those who had been scattered preached the word wherever they went. Now, I don't know about you, and maybe we need to brush up on our preaching skills a little bit and dust off those milk crates and set them out on the corners. Maybe not. I'm not sure that that's exactly what they're talking about here. But what would it look like for us to be bearers of the good news of Jesus Christ on an everyday basis, wherever we are? What does that look like for us? I can tell you this. There's plenty of bad news out there. There's plenty of things that make us fearful or worried, that make us angry, and that make us dissatisfied and frustrated. And I'm not just talking about having good news that makes us feel good. But what kind of things can you share with your friends and neighbors that make an eternal difference, that bring hope in the midst of brokenness and light in the midst of darkness? Have you been reading your Bible? Has a particular Bible verse stood out to you? What would it look like to share that encouragement with a neighbor or a friend? What about mailing a card to someone you haven't seen in a while and just letting them know that you're thinking about them? Or dropping off flowers for a neighbor who is housebound? I don't know about you, but I think that there is enough discouragement and division in this world already. I think that you and I should be scatterers of light and of hope and of unity. How different would the world look if we intentionally went about our day looking for ways to bring hope and light, goodness, and peace to those around us? This church has a calling to be that hope, that light, that peace, and that unity. And even if we're not always able to gather together, we can certainly spread joy and peace around our neighborhoods and with those we see. I hope that you will take up that challenge and that together we can make a difference.